I mean, I didn't sense, I'm not sensing like disheartenment in the community. Are you?
I just literally spent minutes saying, yes, I am, and citing posts.
Oh, I thought you were quoting somebody else. That was you saying that?
No, that was other people. Oh, no, I'm saying I'm seeing this in the Reddit community.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, I'm not seeing it. But I also don't really check the Reddit community.
Welcome back to the hunt for Posey's treasure. This is episode number 12. Date of recording, July 30th, 2025. In our previous two episodes, we took a deep dive into the Beyond the Map's edge, going line by line, couplet by couplet, and stanza by stanza, exploring potential meanings, metaphors, all sorts of stuff. I mean, we got really deep, but fortunately, I have to say the feedback has been mostly positive, or I would say overwhelmingly. You know, there's always going to be some detractors, but some stuff to discuss this week. However, myself and the cowboy a little under the weather, so not sure how extensive this one will be, but there's certainly plenty to unpack. But before we dive into those cans of worms, I'll turn to the cowboy and ask you, cowboy, I know last week those wheels were turning, things were maybe making more sense. How's it going with your latest solve? Where you at?
Yes. Thank you for that lively introduction. Oh, my week has been interesting. I went to the doctor just for a checkup, shoves his little thing in my nose. He says, whoa, you have a sinus infection. And just like clockwork, the next morning I wake up and I feel terrible. So I have a sore throat, stuffy nose, I'm sneezing, I'm just like a mess of myself. I am on a 10-day antibiotic cycle, so don't worry. Modern medicine is going to treat me okay. I will be okay. But yes, my week was a little stunted because of that. But where have I left off? You know, I've been finding these, just another course of action I've been doing. You know, and also, a lot of people listen to this, and then they leave these comments that are like, oh, yeah, duh, I started doing that 3 months ago. Well, hey, pal, you haven't found the treasure yet, okay? So, like, to each their own on the journey, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just going to say some stuff, and this is a family-friendly podcast, so I'll just leave it at that. But, you know, I've been hopping on YouTube lately, inspired by Dr. Clown sending a couple of videos from us, and there's these wonderful content creators out there that like go on journeys, right? Like through certain regions, and they'll just like make little videos where they have like a GoPro and they're walking through the valleys and checking out the areas. They tell you exactly where they are. So you can, if you have a hunch and you think, oh, it could be an X valley or Y stream or whatever, you can kind of like, if you Google it, find it, go on YouTube, find those videos, and you can kind of get a lay of the land. Because I think that's been a disconnect for me, is that as I'm looking at the maps and looking even at satellite imagery of like, just Google satellite imagery, the top-down approach doesn't quite give you the feel you need, because I think we all have this idea in our minds of what the area looks like and feels like. And these videos kind of are they give you the imagery that you're like imagining it to be, right? Like once you see the trees and like the creeks and the granite and like, I don't know, it depends on where you are, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like a cool little tool to follow these videos. So I would highly suggest that if you haven't, if you're thinking, oh, it might be in this area, throw it into the old Google machine and see what comes up on YouTube. Maybe you'll find a video that gets you excited.
Yeah, I agree. And it's totally just completely different world when you actually see the boots on the ground compared to, you know, these huge zoomed out 10,000 foot views we have where everything looks small and neat and just like explorable. You realize like what a speck we are on this planet when you see the people. But I did see one of the videos Dr. Clowns had shared. Yeah, they were in Montana. I like that she laid out. It was Cynthia Meacham, who's featured in the Forest Fend documentary. But she laid out, like, here's my solve. Here's what I was going to explore. You know, I was thinking this is around the bend, past the hole, and to see that. But what was striking is how she was using a drone. And that, to me, was super interesting. And I feel like if you're going out there, you got to have that, right?
A drone, specifically?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, drones are complete game changers. Like with it's just a crazy divide. I mean, yeah, you can stand in one place and like essentially like look within like a mile circumference around you, depending on, how good you are at flying that thing and whatnot. And those things aren't cheap either, certain ones. But
Yeah.
I got a drone. I got a drone for when we go out, by the way.
Yeah. So I'm excited. We'll see where we're at with that. But to continue on here, to start off, as I said, a lot of good activity on our YouTube comments this week specifically. There seemed to be some real good responses to that. The poem part 2, we had titled it. Those last 3 stanzas we explored. Mostly, we got some feedback. Folks, a little disappointed that our the one we built up, our potential clue, fizzle out into nothing. But, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right, Cowboy?
Yeah. Also, like, I feel like that's literally happens to every single person that is paying attention to this. So, yes, I guess we are broadcasting on media, and we were kind of working that up. But hey, genuine mistake, didn't work out. Tron gave me some terrible information. What do you want me to say? He blew it, right?
Yeah, but that said, though, we got an interesting wrinkle to that consideration.
I feel like wrinkle is your favorite word. You love saying the word wrinkle.
There's a lot of wrinkly stuff going on here. It's not clear. It's not sheen. It's not silk sheets, all right? These are ruffled up. They're crumpled. They're recrumpled. But we had Mindy Renee comment on our YouTube. Okay, so the topographical map was not a clue. But what about the 42? 4/2 on the taillight of his truck, written with a finger on the driver's side dirty taillight. Now, I don't have the screenshot pulled up. I'm going to assume that's 100% the case, but what do you think about that?
I didn't know that. That is interesting. Yeah,
Very
I thought you took on, so let me be clear here. You took on the burden of going through the Netflix series, taking screenshots of everything that was important, and you missed that, correct? Am I just making sure of that? Because it took a generous listener of our audience to share this.
I had already had shots of the truck.
Did you see the 4/2? Because I don't remember seeing a truck shot with a 4/2 on it.
No, I need to go back. I'll be honest, I've seen some other folks sharing screenshots, and I'm like, I don't remember seeing that. And like,
wow.
So I
guess this is again turning into amateur hour, but we greatly appreciate that information, and then we'll share it with the hundreds of thousands of people that listen to this podcast. So 4/2, that's interesting. I don't know what it means.
42, is there like a parallel, a lat long?
Well, I don't know what the actual term is, but like 4/2 then divides into 2, right? So it's like this 2's everywhere in that. I don't know what that means either. Yeah, I don't know what the significance of 42. Who was the 42nd president?
See, I went a similar vein just now. I looked, what was the 42nd state admitted to the Union, hoping it was Montana. It was Washington. But what now? 42nd who president?
President.
Bill Clinton.
Okay, yeah.
So
Maybe that
Slick Willie, which I think he was from Idaho or Arkansas.
No, he's from Arkansas. Little Rock, baby.
I don't know if there's a connection there, but yeah, very interesting. We love this type of stuff. I got to go back, look at that frame, but in terms of meaning from 42, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Blue 42. Maybe it's like a football thing. I don't know.
Says sinus infections spreading to your brain there. But
yeah, it's playing some. But this might be the break I need.
But that said, the biggest area of contention among what we discussed last week actually wasn't specific to the poem. It was in regards to the shot or scene, I guess, with Fenn's lawyer. A lot of conflicting thoughts and opinions on that. Specifically, this guy, Opie-Original Panic, said, the problem I have with anything on the lawyer's desk being a clue is that the lawyer will have firsthand knowledge of that clue that the rest of us don't. The lawyer would know for sure, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't belong there, that's not mine, that must be a clue. In fact, he would be the only one that knows for certain if a clue, if the rest of us are uncertain. Something to think about, not everything is a clue. And then someone responded, though, yes, not everything is a clue, but the book doesn't belong there for sure. This person is referring, I think when they said there's a large book on the desk, it's actually not a book. It is the sign that says, like, what is it? All You Need Is Love and a Dog or something like that. It's not actually a book on his desk. But apparently the word beetle is used 3 times in the book. And we discussed the little car, which we said, oh, bug, but beetle is what those were, Volkswagen Beetles. And so it got a little testy. And then Road Less Traveled hopped in. We've heard from him a few times. He says, we don't even know if Justin is using the same attorney as Fenn. So the lawyer's desk is most likely a nothing burger. Now, before I turn to you, I got to respond to the original comment of like, oh, well, the lawyer would know it's a clue. Well, you got to take a step back. I think he has to recuse himself from any of this just from like legal reasons, him being a lawyer and, you know, that attorney-client privilege. I don't know. But separately, he could have just said, hey, man, you're doing an interview. Can you do me a favor? Put these things on your desk. I can't explain why. Just put them on your desk when you're doing the interview. And the lawyer's, you know, he knows Justin's maybe eccentric or like this is a fun thing. He's like, sure, dude, I'll put them on my desk. So I don't think he would actually have to explicitly know. Okay, maybe he knows they're a clue, but he doesn't know in terms of like an explanation of what that clue entails. That's my take on kind of that contention. But I'm curious what your thoughts on that little back and forth we had on our YouTube.
Yeah, so the lawyer is a very close friend of mine's uncle. His name is Carl Somer. Carl, if he's anything like, and I don't know him, I've never met him. If he's anything like my friend, his niece, I guess it would be, he's an extremely chill, down-to-earth, cool guy. And that being the case, as you just described, 100%, if he's representing somebody and he's doing an interview for that, he's probably like, one, yeah, we can do an hour interview. I'll bill you an hour for my time, which is great. Good for him. Second of all, oh, yeah, you want me to set some stuff up on my desk before the interview? Yeah, no problem. I'll bill you for my time. That's how lawyers are. I don't know Carl, and I'm not trying to drag him through the mud. You know, I obviously have like the biggest entertainment lawyers in the world. It's expensive. I just, you know, it is what it is. But he's probably a chill-ass dude, and he just is like, yeah, whatever. Cool, put it there. I don't care. And yeah, of course he's got attorney-client privilege. He's not talking to anybody about this. That's like the lawyers like bread and butter is essentially like protecting their clients. They literally work to protect the interest of their clients. So he's not going to do anything out of the ordinary. If anybody in the world were to be told about Justin, where he hid the treasure and did all that, it would probably be this guy because he's like legally protecting Justin. So yeah, I mean, I don't think the idea, he might know, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's not like it just doesn't matter. But going back to the clues, just to say that like, oh, well, maybe he didn't put them on the desk because like, how would he have done it? Because he couldn't know, like, it's like, dude, he could have, that is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. He may have done it. He may not have done it, but don't come up with excuses that he couldn't that are like not real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I think the jury's still out. Is it a clue? Is it not a clue? Obviously we don't know, but my main thing is I haven't really heard a compelling explanation for what the clue is signifying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like in that exact same logic, not to like go back to past conversations because we appreciate people clarifying themselves. And like if either Tron or I disagree with something, you have every right to try to convince us otherwise.
Absolutely.
But I'm at a point with this, not to change topics, but with this whole loop conversation, the idea of like the second, third, and fourth stanzas being like a loop where you have to read them, go through them, and then once you figure that out, then you read it again and it illuminates something new, and it's a loop going over and over, and that's how the clues reveal themselves. I understand it. I just don't think that's what it is. I personally don't believe that. So as much as we appreciate the explanation, and it's not, I'm not saying it's a dumb idea. I just personally don't think that's what's happening. I don't agree with it. I don't need it to be explained to me again. I got a sinus infection, please. I'm just lay off me for a minute. I don't, if you want to loop it up, go loop till the cows come home. Please loop it, daddy. But I am not going to be looping over here.
All right. Well, it is, I guess, a very good segue into our next topic of conversation, which is something I did plan to discuss, and probably in this order. So a little bit of, sharing the same brain here. But yes, let's move on to something you touched on, the looping theory. We've been talking about it now for 2 episodes. We're not going to revisit. If you'd like to hear more about it, re-listen to those episodes. Or the topic I'm bringing this up, the reason I'm bringing this topic up is because something kind of magical happened this week. When old Tronny was scrolling, his Reddit feed, which he's obviously subscribed to r/Justin Posey's Treasure. As I'm scrolling through, all of a sudden it caught my eye right as I turned the app off, and I had to go back and I said, wait, did I just see the artwork for the hunt for Posey's Treasure? And sure enough, man, salute to trick_ambassador_945 on Reddit, who has brought forth this magical podcast to the forefront of the conversation. Yes, indeed. The post he made was called "The Poem is a Code," all caps, ... but there is a bug. And they opened it up by saying, thanks, Tron and Cowboy, for reinforcing an idea I had with suggesting a clue hidden on the lawyer's desk. He even cites the episode of The Hunt for Forrest Fenn's Treasure and the time code, which I appreciate. But he says, here's their main cast for those interested, linked to our content. So just like, I'm not going to go into the rest of it, but like that was really cool, and we appreciate that. And we're official now. It finally happened, Cowboy.
Yeah, we both have been kind of wondering when that was going to happen, and it's cool that it has happened. The podcast is growing slowly but surely, and we'll take this opportunity to please like and subscribe The Hunt for Posey's Treasure on anywhere you get this: Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube. Strangely enough, YouTube, people are like really into it on YouTube. We're getting so much response from YouTube. But yeah, if you're listening on any of the airwaves out there, the digital airwaves, like, subscribe, please. It helps us. We're getting there. We're getting closer to something. Back to you.
All right, but this was a follow-up. This is the guy, I believe, who originally posted the theory we discussed. So this was his second post, and that's kind of cool that he was listening to our pod, and we had that post shared with us by Dr. Clowns. That was kind of an organic thing that happened, so I think that was cool. But anyways, he goes on to dissect more about his information, reinforce his theory, but there was 26 comments on this, and I'm not going to dive into all of them, but there was some interesting back and forth. A lot of folks, though, a bit skeptical. The number one post, which had 5 upvotes, is cool idea, but I believe he said all of the clues were in order. Oh, he has kind of discounted, or like he has not entertained the idea that you can rearrange lines. But maybe that is just the correct way to interpret that line. Very interesting approach. And then somebody replied, agreed, they are in consecutive order. That doesn't mean it can't wrap around, maybe. So the starting point could be in, they think you can loop through like we've discussed. So...
Oh, well, I don't want to, again, go back to the looping thing, but, by definition, wouldn't that if it's in consecutive order, and again, I might be wrong, but if you get to the bottom of something, assuming you go back to the top to do it again doesn't necessarily imply it being consecutive, right?
I think it does.
Does it?
It's consecutive.
Okay.
It's just repeated,
Yes, but okay. Yeah, I guess then. Yeah. Okay. Fair. Loop it.
But then a really interesting post was from Anon Hunter 25 that they went back, they pulled up the scene, they actually corrected the time code. They said. And then they discussed kind of some logistical things about how the scene was laid out. But they clarified. So yes, it looks like it might be a book on his desk, but it's a huge thing. It says all you need is love and a dog, but it is not a book. You can go find it. It's a decorative little piece. It's a wood sign. He linked one that's basically the same thing. It was on jillysocks.com.
Oh, of course.
But he did note that there is a book with that title that exists. It's by Ron Gustafson. But they ultimately concluded, this person, that there's tremendous leaps into the abyss with your analysis. For me, there is nothing in this scene that relates to this hunt in any way, shape, or form. Wow.
Okay, right on.
So yeah, it led to a really great discussion. Go check it out. As I said, r/Justin Posey's Treasure. Title of the post is "The Poem is a Code," all caps, ... space, but there is a bug, all caps. I think this gentleman even went to post a third time, and he cited our pod once again. So I just love seeing Tron and the Cowboy out in the wild anywhere. So I don't even know if this led to anything, but that was just a cool thing that happened, and we're going to talk about that on the pod. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, and I think that, like, if people here are on Reddit and you think something we say is interesting or stupid or somewhere in between, we give you full permission to do whatever you want with our content on Reddit. That's how we got into this, was the Reddit subreddits. And
Permission.
please, like, it tickles us every time we see someone talking about it. And
I was frightened.
you were frightened? Why? Were you afraid to, like, read the comments?
Yeah. But nobody talked about the pod in the comments. So then I got a little sad.
That's why we don't use our real names, though. Nothing matters. We can hide behind this veil of whatever this is, but also maybe we should use our real names for accountability, because I'm way more on target than you are. You have led me down terrible paths throughout this whole journey, and I if I were you, I definitely wouldn't use my real name.
I mean, it was my, theorizing that led your little feeble mind to your whole frickin' theory you've developed, dude. Go back and listen, man. It's on the tape, dog.
What are you talking about? Listen, we're getting way off topic. We'll do this off air.
I was talking about the structure of the poem and this and that, and then you were like, "Whoa, wait a minute,
dude." That's like saying, like, "Oh, I told you it was in Montana," and then a guy flies into Montana. And you're like, "I told you, bro."
I'll go pull the clip next week, but that's it. We're gonna move on.
I'd like that. Please show receipts.
All right. Let me go make a note here.
Go look through the 15 hours of content we've recorded. I'd love that.
Episode 13, Prove Cowboy Wrong. All right, noted. Let's then move on to an important piece of information topic. We've discussed it, revisited it, but it hit home with Justin tweeting out this week, "Critical reminder for all searchers," he tweeted. "2 searchers just got banned from all Wyoming public lands for a year, plus they received hefty fines for ignoring a Forest Service closure. The judge wasn't having it. He said," I guess the judge, quote, "I do not have any room for treasure hunters. Follow the rules. Don't let reckless searchers ruin this for everyone."
So were they just in a dangerous area, or what was or they were just somewhere they shouldn't have been? What was the actual charge?
It was a closed area. It was an area they were just not supposed to be, it seems.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just so stupid. Like, obviously the treasure's not there. Obviously Justin wouldn't put it there. Why would you go? Unless it was a mistake, and it was an honest mistake. Like, of course, people make mistakes, but hopefully you're not looking intentionally in a place that is not in the guidelines of what Justin has outlined, right? That's just like, don't do that.
Well, and what's also interesting to me is that it was in Wyoming,
Why is that interesting? Why? Because Wyoming is not on your radar?
I mean, have you heard many people have we talked about Wyoming at all?
Well, no, not necessarily, but Wyoming is the Yellowstone state, and it's right next to Montana, and it's like, it's pretty much like, if it's not here, it's there, if you believe in Montana,
Yeah, isn't that Fens was found in Wyoming? But either way, I thought it's interesting, like, maybe we should be looking at Wyoming locations, because just you and I personally, I don't think we've even glanced at that state.
Yeah, I've been to Wyoming quite a few times. I love Wyoming. I've been to Jackson Hole quite a bit, and then through Yellowstone several times, and then out the east back door, you'd call it. Wyoming is such a beautiful state. It's out of control. I mean, it's up there with Montana as well, but of course, a majority of Yellowstone is in the upper area of Wyoming, and it's quite literally God's country. It's absolutely stunning. But I do think that one of the major reasons we haven't gone down the Wyoming rabbit hole is that Yellowstone, as we all know and most people should know, is a great national park, which has been excluded exclusively from this hunt per Justin's words, correct?
Well, you have to pay to enter, right?
Oh, yeah. It's not free to enter Yellowstone.
Yeah. So that would, in theory...
It's actually expensive. It was like, I can't remember. This a couple years ago we drove through. It was like $45 or something to go through it.
Yeah, so that would preclude it based off the rules established. But as actually one of the YouTube comments pointed out, I didn't touch on it. Marie Jose N4I noted that the word loophole is used 7 times in the book, and Justin himself has said, he's big on loopholes, and folks have pointed out that, some of these national parks have free entry days. So I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I just think if there's that kind of loophole that you need and like misdirection going on, I'm just gonna be mad in the end. I can't play the game if I think those are potential rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with Yellowstone. Like, I don't know all the areas of Yellowstone. I've been there, right? I've been there a couple times. It's beautiful. I do think that Yellowstone has to be probably, and I'm sure someone will prove me wrong here, but I'm going to assume Yellowstone is one of the more highly trafficked national parks in the continental United States. It has to be up there. Yellowstone obviously is one of the most famous places, natural places in our country. I would imagine that because of that high traffic, it would be, I think, a deterrent for Justin to put the treasure there because it just seems to go against essentially what he stands for. I think. I would, yeah, and with all that, I don't think Yellowstone, but it could be on the fringes of Yellowstone. Like, obviously, Yellowstone kind of like the forest of it obviously flows into Montana, flows into Idaho, it flows into these different states. It could be on like one of the foothills of those, foothill may be the wrong word, but you know what I mean? Like the fringe areas of the park, fringe areas of that forest, which could be Montana. Montana's right up there. I'm pretty sure that parts of Montana are in Yellowstone, but
as you're talking about it, I am thinking and kind of answering, I guess, my own question of why I haven't been exploring Wyoming. I think what I'm coming back to is I'm thinking is he didn't really mention it ever in the book, and he doesn't really have any core memories of Yellowstone aside from exploring for Fenn's treasure, which I guess, that was meaningful time. It was spent with his brother, but there's no like connections to growing up, his grandfather or his father, as far as I can recollect. So to me, again, I said my guiding light over and over again is this idea of it being a sacred, special place, super meaningful. So I just think Wyoming, I just don't know being there. But it's cool that folks are out there. It's not cool that they're breaking the rules and getting busted. I mean, it is kind of cool. I'm glad they enforce that shit. They need to protect these places. People need to follow the damn rules. So don't be dumb if you're out there. Be smart.
Yeah.
All right, well, that said, that wasn't the only thing he tweeted out this week that was interesting. And maybe that was beyond a week ago, but Justin also, he's starting to get way more cryptic on his Twitter feed. If you go on here and start scrolling, like, he's dropping more breadcrumbs here. Because he said here on July 26, he tweeted out, "Love seeing searchers from all over discovering the bookstore in Dillon, Montana. Nothing like a good treasure hunt to bring people together. The search continues, ... Okay, that's fine, whatever. But below that, he included a big-ass image of this really detailed map of the entire United States, and there is a series of hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of little, like, pins, the majority of which are yellow, some are green, some are red, some are blue, and they're all over, but certainly very much clustered, a bunch of them in the western United States. And, like, does it mean something? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I think we've talked about... Why don't you tell me, because you had original thoughts on this, and I can react to your thoughts. I don't want to tell everyone your thoughts, because you seem to have more thoughts about it than I did in the discussion this week.
Did I?
Well, I could just say it too. I just want to give you the opportunity. You were saying that essentially maybe something was hidden there. Maybe there was a map there. Maybe it was something that he...
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. My theory actually wasn't specific to this map Justin shared, but yes, I have always had this inkling of a feeling that this bookstore in Dillon, Montana is meaningful to this search. Now, I guess that's at odds. No clues are associated with man-made buildings or anything like that. But I just feel like he keeps directing people to this bookstore. A, it's mentioned in the book explicitly. B, he hosted his Q&A there. And then C, this tweet. So my theory, yes, that I shared with you and Clowns was like my secret kind of, ignore the rules theory has been like, you go to that bookstore, look around what they're selling. I bet you they're selling some maps. And maybe it's just a map of the local Montana Dillon area. And something on that map, I feel like that's the map you need to get a hold of. And when he's talking about beyond the map's edge, that's where it's going to line up. But again, that opens up, is in conflict potentially with a bunch of rules he established. It also is like they could stop selling maps tomorrow. That bookstore could close down, and Justin's obviously designed this hunt for like longevity. But they also said there's multiple ways to solve it. So maybe that was just one of those fringe ways. So this is a long way of saying, like, I don't know, man. Those of you who have been to the bookstore, is it small? Did you see any maps? Like, am I full of it? I mean, I know I'm full of it, but any concrete reason why?
I mean, it's an interesting thought. It's interesting. Haven't been to the bookstore. Don't know the bookstore. Don't know. I think what I think is more interesting is what I haven't thought about is this Beyond the Map's Edge, the name of this whole thing. Like, yeah, is there some meaning in that? Is there like a map that
There's got
beyond? Yeah, I guess you're right. I haven't really thought about that. And then I don't know. I just like on my desktop right now, I'm looking at a map of Yellowstone, right? Which, yeah, is Wyoming, floods in Montana, and then obviously on the west side in Idaho. And it's like, is it just beyond this? Is it like close to the park? Like, I don't know. That's another vague clue that's like, okay, well, like, how many maps are there? That, my mind, I don't even want to. That almost is too big of a thing to even think about. I don't want to think about that.
So going back to the map that Justin posted, I can't really seem to get a full high-res version, but if you zoom in, there's tons, I mean, as I said, tons of them are yellow. So I imagine the yellow ones aren't significant, but then sprinkled in is the blue, the orange, and the green pins. And those are in some interesting areas, some in Colorado, some in Wyoming, several red ones sprinkled in Montana, and so they're all kind of aligned there in the west, but then there's some in California, so I don't know, but like this is not just a map he tweeted out for no reason. There's something going on with it.
Yeah, but you're leaving a huge disclaimer about this map. There's also pins all over the East Coast and a ton in Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama. They're in every state in the continental United States. Like,
yes. But are there any green ones on the East Coast side? I'm looking now. I see maybe one.
North Carolina.
He also shows the box of pins, and there's a box with just yellow pins, but then there's that other box on the left that has all the colored ones. So, I don't... And again, yeah, you ignore the East, obviously, but I'm just saying... If he gave us a map and it only had pins on the West U.S., that is like blatantly obvious where you need to be paying attention. So I think this is kind of a misdirect, but there's something going on in this photo with these frickin' pins, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what to say. Yeah. Maybe someone can enlighten me on social media.
I don't know. But that said, this episode is tapering off. But as a final kind of conclusion, I wanted to touch on exactly that, because before going into this episode, I was like, what are we going to chat about? I want to talk about stuff on Reddit, and I was like, I'm going to go see what are the top posts from the past week or past month on the subreddit, and there was a theme kind of developing, Cowboy, which is a lot of folks in this community or on this sub are packing it up and giving up. They're quitting the hunt. And a lot of them are just sharing all their information and their solves, which I plan to dive into some of this stuff. But there's several, 3, 4, 5 posts, even somebody noticing it. Tapering off is the title of the post, ... Feels like the community is coming to the realization that it can't be solved with the information, misinformation, disinformation we have at our disposal. Too many rabbit holes, way too many clues, pseudo-clues as well. The only thing I've seen that would classify as a bona fide clue is the 42 on his taillight. So we're back to that. Hilariously enough, but they don't explain what the fuck does that mean, but other things that may be clues that maybe not.
How is that the most genuine clue?
The 42, though, was quite deliberately placed there, this person says. So anyways, are you all out there? I don't know, but I gotta say, from my POV, Cowboy, you quitters, when the going gets tough, baby, the tough gets going, and we're not giving up. We're just getting started here, right?
Yeah, I don't I kind of find it comical that the 42 is what they come back to. I mean, like,
yeah,
Maybe Justin was just a big Jackie Robinson fan, you know? I don't know. But yeah, that's funny. That's really funny. I mean, I didn't sense, I'm not sensing like disheartenment in the community. Are you?
I just literally spent minutes saying, yes, I am, and citing posts.
Oh, I thought you were quoting somebody else. That was you saying that?
No, that was other people. Oh, no, I'm saying I'm seeing this in the Reddit
community. I see. Yeah. Oh, I'm not seeing it. But I also don't really check the Reddit community.
Here's somebody else. Grateful goodbye, hint handout. And then they basically say, hey there, here's a brief compilation of all my research. Like they're giving it up. Somebody else, all my best stuff. I've decided to pass along everything I've come up with. And so I just think that's interesting. We're 2-3 months into this thing. Fens hunt lasted 10 years. You know, we're here for the long haul, baby. Right?
Yeah. We'll find it. Don't worry. We'll find it, everyone.
Yeah, we're working on it. We gotta, I guess, figure out this 42, because clearly that's important. But if you are quitting the hunt or you're unable to take part, we still hope you will maintain your listenership. Follow along with us. We'll keep you updated. And hey, maybe, next summer or whatever, you get some free time, you can pick it back up. We will keep you along for the journey so that you're updated along the way. If there's big tweets, big clues, or potential clues, we will share those with you. So, let us kind of help do the hunting for you, and we'll just give you that weekly recap, right?
Yeah, we're here.
But that said, shouts to all the folks that are listening, specific shouts to the folks that are commenting, interacting, and major shouts to the dude giving us the shout out, the plug on Reddit. Spread the word, help this pod grow. That's the way we get this going. Maybe once we even monetize, we can use that to fund our boots on the ground adventure. But at some point we will be doing that. But I think that's really going to wrap it up for this episode. Where do you want us to go from here? We've kind of explored all the source material. We've explored ourselves. We're both a bit stuck. I do plan on going in and look at some of these clue dumps that people have been sharing and seeing what can we find, because as we said, we want to bring it all to the forefront, bring the puzzle pieces in, and then maybe you can help us sort through them. But that's going to do it for us here. Any final parting thoughts from you, Cowboy?
No, I'm going to start looking in Wyoming, I think.
All right, well, follow the rules. Don't give up. Share the pod. Listen next week, because you're going to hear Cowboy get proven wrong. Until then, my friends, happy hunting.
And stay safe.